So this interview is for interviewing skills number 2. Code is S21, and today is July 27th, 2021. So today I'm here with Andrew, and that's all we're going to use as his name. And what I'm going to do right now is share the screen with him. He does have a consent form, and he is aware, but I will go through it with you one more time. So thank you for agreeing to take part in this interview. As you know, I'm a student enrolled in the social service worker program at Durham College, and this is a learning opportunity for me to relate my future role as a social worker. So you can choose to disclose as much or as little as you feel comfortable with, and the objective of this interview is for academic and research purposes only. So any information you share with me may be used in my coursework. And although your identity will remain anonymous, I may use what we discuss in my research, and that may be shared with my instructors and peers. Although as previously stated, your identity will be kept confidential, but if you make any statements indicating your intent to cause seriously bodily harm to yourself or others, or make statements indicating child abuse or neglect, then it's my responsibility as a social worker to alert the proper authorities. So this interview will be recorded for academic and research purposes. And the recording of this interview may be shared with my instructor or peers. So please keep in mind that I'm not experienced in social work or interviewing, but my goal is to learn and practice, and any feedback is only appreciated but welcomed. So by signing this, you've agreed to the informed consent and the above statements, and I look forward to using what we have spoke about or what we speak about to further my studies and practice at becoming a successful social worker. So I have given this copy to Andrew. He has it with him, and you understand what I did explain to you?
Yep, it's all clear.
All right. So thanks for coming in, or in this case, we are doing this virtual because of our situation. We're not taking anybody into the office at this point. So we've decided that virtual is the means that we're going to discuss. So what would bring you in to see me today?
Well, I'm a third-year student in college right now, but I'm feeling very overwhelmed and stressed by the course load and the amount of work that I have to do, and it's giving me points where I feel like I'm not sleeping properly or not eating well, and I ultimately feel tired, stressed, and quite anxious with all I have to do, and I'm not sure how I can go about continuing education and trying to mitigate the stress that comes with it.
Okay, so you're saying, and I'm hearing that you're saying you feel stressed. You're using that a few times and not understanding your work balance. What do you feel would cause you to have that sense of being stressed? Is it other factors that you feel that are causing this?
I feel like it could be a few things. Might be the profs have very high expectations on us students, and that they've constantly said that previous class averages in the past were 85 to 90%, especially for computer programming and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel like they're putting an undue pressure on me and other students, but I can't speak for others. And I also feel that the amount of work that they assign and give, the duration to have it done is so small. So it feels like we're very crunched for time, plus having to deal with the other 7 or 8 courses on top of this one specifically. So it just feels like there's way too much all at one time, and I just don't have enough time to do everything plus maintain a job.
So you find that your workload is uh, increasing, or do you find that it is manageable at this point? It's just um, the need to have that mark that the school is looking for.
I think it's a bit of both. Obviously, the mark for myself, I'd like to maintain a good grade point average, but I also think it's the amount of workload too. It is starting to increase slightly, still relatively manageable, but we are getting to a point where now it's becoming a little bit too much, and it's a little bit hard to handle.
So how are you at this point handling the workload? I mean, how does your day look when you have all these courses that you need to do?
Well, usually on average, if I give an average week span, I'm usually starting around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I don't finish till about 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes I'll have, a few hour gaps in between the day, but with the amount of stuff that has to be done, it feels like there's not enough time to do everything. And then unfortunately, some courses end up suffering because I just cannot complete everything all at once, or it's not, if I do complete it, fully, it's not, entirely all correct and to the satisfaction that it should be in terms of being marked.
All right, so um, you're striving for that high mark, but you feel that because of how much of a workload that other classes may suffer.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also heard when you were speaking, you said you also have work.
Yeah, I have a part-time job as well. And so because I'm doing about 70 courses, I've had to reduce my hours significantly. So I'm making less money. And then on top of that, trying to pay for tuition and stuff for the following semesters is just going to, it's getting even hard, it's becoming even harder now to do.
So how do you fit your working schedule into a day that, as you said, from 8:30 to 9 p.m. that appears to be pretty full? So how do you fit the work into that?
I usually will do, the weekends I work completely all day. There is one day in the week, Tuesday, where I only have two courses in the day. So I start at 8 o'clock and I finish around 12, and then I can work from about 2 till 8 p.m. And then believe it's, Thursdays, I don't start school until about 3 o'clock. So I can do about, 6 a.m. till about 12 o'clock. And then I have to make my way over to, well, in this case, home, but normally it would have been to the campus. But if I do have to go into campus, then, for the, one in-person learning course, then, I have to leave a little bit earlier so I can make time uh, for the commute. So trying to do all that at once is quite difficult, I have to say.
So at this point, how far in are you with your courses? So why I'm asking is there options to eliminate a course, or is this something that the school has said that this is how many you need to take per semester?
So there's no real limit on how many you have to take per semester. I think, you have the option to do as many as you'd like. Um, at this point, in terms of the semester, we've passed the point where I can eliminate a course without facing an academic penalty. So if I were to drop, one of them today, it's going to show up on my transcript as a fail, or whatever, the mark was before a major test or assignment. So if it's low, then it's just going to uh, ruin the entire grade point average that I have right now.
So through your day, and you said your day is pretty full, have you thought of prioritizing um, certain classes that maybe you have that assignment that's due right away and you do that first, or um, do so much per day and then the next day look at other courses?
I tried my best to. I try to do at least everything, equally, so this way I don't have, two things done and like five that are completely incomplete. But I'm finding that maybe I need to change that and actually do the two more important, and then the rest that are not so important, leave those last. But it's just, I don't know which ones I should do first or how I should do that.
So with all the workload you have, how is this affecting your grading, as it appears that you have no time for yourself or very limited work time?
Grading wise, it's some of them are starting to slip. Some of them are luckily maintained around 75 average. Some of them, unfortunately, the ones that I mentioned just before that have dipped are starting to head towards low 60s, high 50s. Um, Anything obviously below a 50 is a fail, so I'm trying not to get to that. But yeah, no real time for myself, and then trying to work on top of that. It's a lot. It's a lot to juggle.
So in this sense, what would be do you feel that would be your priorities? Um, when I'm saying that, I mean with your schooling as opposed to your working.
That's tough. I would say I probably would have to figure out a way to balance both as equal as possible, because they're both in my mind equal priorities. I need to make money, and I need to obviously get educated so I can get a full-time job, in a year from now. So I think I need to, figure out a way to balance both. If that means I have to take the hit and have the academic penalty on my transcript, then maybe that's what I have to do. So that's why I'm a little bit more balanced. But other than that, I really don't quite know.
So there's no real government funding for you. I know I've heard other students say that they've gotten funding when I know courses are expensive, and that I've heard is an option. Something you've looked into?
I have, yeah. So this semester I was able to get some money from the government funding. Um, it did help quite a bit, and I was able to pocket some of it because it was a grant, so I don't have to pay it back. However, I do have a loan from a previous semester that I do have to pay back. So whatever I'm accumulating from work and the government grant is, going towards obviously my own savings and to pay back this loan. So this way, at least there's everything is taken care of.
Yeah. Have you looked into the school to see if that loan can be subsequently delayed? Because I know from reading about it and understanding with the schools, the penalty, if any, is not very that much severe if you've asked for an extension. I mean, that is also an option. So you don't
That
feel that pressure that you need to pay that back.
Yeah, that I haven't looked into, to be honest. I'm not sure who I'd have to contact about that, but I think that is something that would be a valid option to look at, because that might help at least get some money in my own pocket and to save, and obviously to take care of that loan. But over a stretched out period of time, I think with me at least, I want the loan paid off, so this way I don't have that burden over my head for so many years, and this way at least just it's done and over with, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I guess in a sense it goes hand in foot, right? You want to finish the school, but you also need to continue that job to help support the school.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the problem that I feel. It's like there's no middle ground.
Right. So how much school you got left?
I have about a semester and a half to do, because there was a couple courses I didn't do so well on the previous semester that I have to now retake, or I didn't take them the first time because I dropped them before the academic, before the cutoff period.
Yeah.
So I have to take those afterwards as well, and then I should be done hopefully in the spring of actually 2022.
Okay. So do you have that many courses in the next semesters where you're gonna maybe run into this same situation that you're looking at today?
Yeah, the third semester, which is what I'm going to be starting, has approximately, I think it's about six, so it's a little bit less. It's about six courses I have to take. Luckily, with my previous program that I did before, I don't have to take any of the English or math classes or general electives, since I have those credits already. So that's one less thing to worry about. But with the last semester, which would start in winter of 2022, I think it's about five, so it's a little bit less, and I have to do one elective, so that's not too bad either. It seems like it's the second semester that is the brunt of everything. The first and second definitely had the most.
So do you think now with what you're looking at today and the amount of school you have, and you're clearly past the hump of finishing this semester, if you scale back, and I'm not saying this is what you need to do, I'm just putting it as an option. If you had scaled back your work today, would that assist you, do you think?
Yeah, I feel like it would. I think it would allow me to get more hours in at my works, and get and have a better paycheck every, during the, what's it called, the pay period. And I think it would also allow me to have a little bit more time, since the colleges are a little bit more flexible in the sense that I can uh, sometimes, depending, I can choose my courses to be at mornings or at nights or middays. It all depends on what they have available. But that is something I would be able to look into and possibly be able to do with little to no issues.
Right. So have you considered at this juncture to maybe lose a day of work to get you just through this semester? I've seen that you're near that point of finishing.
Um, as much as I would rather not do it, I guess it is something I should consider doing. Maybe taking the last few weeks completely off and not work at all. This way I could at least get, these studies, this semester done in the summer, dealt with and over with. So this way I can at least, have more working hours when the fall semester starts in September. But ideally I would rather not, but I mean, I guess that is an option I could consider. This way I could at least not, at least two things are not sacrificed, and one thing is at least temporarily sacrificed, and the education, which is, I guess, a little bit more important, is dealt with and done at 100%.
And I guess also we have to think about your well-being overall with the stress level and how it could possibly impact your work, um, your daily life, and also, like you say, your school, which is most important. So sometimes I think we forget the well-being of ourselves because we're so focused on our schooling.
Yeah, and I think it's all doesn't also doesn't help that a lot of the college administration, um, you know, I guess puts it on the students that, you know, your college and your program should be your 100% attention given at all times. It seems like and I feel like they seem to forget that college is not free, university is not free, and that we have to pay for it with something. And government grants are not going to cover at all the whole thing. They'll cover a portion of it, but the rest of it has to come out of our pockets.
Right.
So I feel like they're not taking any of that into consideration when they, talk to us, talk to us students, and even when it's the introduction to your programs and I can even think back on our first day. They said, this should be your full-time responsibility. Everything else comes second, but at the same time, in a realistic mindset, you need both, because, like I said, you have to pay for college and university and all that stuff. How are you going to do that if only this is your main focus?
Right. So does appear you have quite a bit on your plate,
I do, yes.
and you've looked at all your options at this point.
um I wouldn't say all, but I've looked at most. I'm sure there's some that I haven't seen or missed, and that's something I'll have to explore. This way I could at least find a solution quickly, because we are approaching the end of the summer semester, and then fall starts very, very soon. It's 2 weeks after, I think it's 3 weeks after the summer semester ends is when we start again in the fall.
Right. So when you say that, does that not give you enough time to work full time to put away money to help with the school?
I think it will. I think easily in that 3-4 week span, I can probably bring in around maybe 15 to 1700, maybe even a couple grand, and pocket that, and then use it along with the government grants for the next semester.
Right.
Um, at least this way, at least I can earn something for the time
Yeah.
being.
Yeah. So we do have some options out there that we can explore to um, look at today, um, going forward for next semester. Obviously, you say you're going to have less classes, so it's not going to be as stressful on you. But it's what we're looking at today is um, options of less work, maybe, to
Yeah,
help you. Okay. Well, I don't think we can solve every issue today. That's not really what we're here for. But we do have a couple options that you may want to look into, which is to see how your work schedule can work. If you can maybe cut back just slightly, that's an option for you. And also um, investigating with the school about the grant you have, and see if there is such a thing as an extension with lesser penalty. So,
yeah.
so it's something you can look at before we reconvene next week,
Okay.
and then you can come back with me, and then we can see where we can go from there.
Okay. Yeah, that works for me.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in, and we will talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the help.
Okay. Thank you.